Today we have a 2025 Mercedes CLE. In this video, I'll talk about what the CLE is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Now, who doesn't dream of a Mercedes-Benz convertible? For decades, the brand had a variety of roadsters available in their lineup, but now we're only down to two models, the top-of-the-line SL and this brand new CLE. Believe it or not, the coupe and convertible variants of the C and E class are gone, and what we get instead is the CLE, which, just like the CLK in the past, is a fusion of those two models that comes in a form of a two-door coupe or a soft-top convertible. Built on the MR82 platform shared across the Mercedes-Benz lineup, all CLEs feature multi-link suspension front and back, but there are minor differences between the coupe and the convertible variants. The Cabrio only gets standard passive dampers, whereas the coupe can be optioned with adaptive dampers as part of a sport suspension setup alongside a rear steering system. As of fall 2024, we get two engine choices, a 255 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder in the CLE 300 or a 375 horsepower turbocharged straight 6 in the 450 that we have today. Both variants are mild hybrids with a small 23 horsepower electric motor that sits between the engine and the transmission to give you extra power and improve fuel efficiency. Also, in both cases, the power goes to all wheels via a 9-speed conventional automatic. That's right, no rear-wheel drive option in a Mercedes convertible. Now, before we talk how it all works together and what it's like to drive the CLE, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Now, the interior of the CLE is basically a carbon copy of what you can find in the C-Class, and that's not a bad thing because the C-Class has a pretty darn good cabin. The first thing you notice is a clean, simple design with some retro touches, such as the steering wheel or the climate vents, but that's basically where the retro ends, as Mercedes followed current trends to declutter the interior by removing majority of buttons. Thankfully, you do get physical controls for things that matter, and there are even some capacitive controls on the steering wheel or underneath the display. They don't replace actual buttons, but I'll take them over nothing. Besides that, everything else is in the infotainment system. I must admit though, the MBUX has grown on me, and while it takes a second to learn what it can do, it does have an intuitive interface and good responsiveness, isn't overwhelming despite a lot of options, and after a week, tops 2 of living with it, you will get used to it. The digital gauge cluster is super customizable, allowing you to change the design of your gauges from sport to classic, select variety of information that it shows, or display a full screen map. The only thing that I would change is a higher refresh rate for smoother animations. I wouldn't change anything about the quality of this cabin though. The fit and finish are great, giving you that feeling of solidity typical for German luxury cars. Everything you interacted with nice to the touch, and from a practical point of view, the storage is fine. The door pockets are of a decent size, and the center console offers a good amount of storage, which is not so obvious in luxury coupes or convertibles. The trunk isn't breathtaking, but you'll be able to fit your and your significant other's stuff for a weekend getaway. Just forget about your friends, because not only will you not fit their stuff, they're not gonna enjoy long trips in the backseat of the CLE. While it's not tiny, the car still prioritizes its front occupants. The driving position is great, and I would highly recommend getting the optional multi-contour seats. They offer a superior comfort with great adjustability, including side bolsters, and the massage function with multiple programs to choose from works great. So that was the interior of the Mercedes CLE. Let's get it on the road now and see how it drives. The challenge that Mercedes had with the CLE was combining the driving dynamics of the C-Class with comfort offered by the E-Class. And how do they do it? Well, they created a vehicle that doesn't pretend to be something that it isn't. Let's start with that the CLE was made for stress-free, relaxed driving, obviously with the top down. I mean, there is nothing better than dropping the top on a beautiful summer afternoon and simply enjoying life. And guess what? You don't even have to worry about the outside temperature or the speed you're traveling at. Mercedes knows how to design convertibles, and thanks to a couple of tricks, traveling with the roof down is super pleasant. Besides great aerodynamics, the system of two deflectors, front and back, significantly reduces wind buffeting. And I'm talking about traveling with the speeds of 75-80 miles an hour without any issues. Once you roll your windows up, all you feel is a gentle breeze inside the cabin. And if the temperatures drop, the air scarf system will blow warm air around your neck to keep you cozy and comfortable. I didn't believe in its effectiveness at first, but I had a chance to drive the CLE on a couple of brisk early fall mornings and it actually worked. Now, I said that the CLE doesn't pretend to be something that it isn't, so what exactly is it? Well, the best way to describe it is a super comfortable GT. The ride quality is fantastic with smooth compression and rebound, and the inline-six is just so right for the CLE. 375 horsepower is a perfect amount for a vehicle of this size, and one thing you will not complain about is power deficit. The engine works in a very smooth manner, and generally speaking, there isn't much NVH coming from the engine. You can notice that especially with the auto start-stop function, it's seamless with shutting the engine off and turning it back on to the point where it's unnoticeable. The 9-speed transmission, designed in-house by Mercedes, is a nice improvement over the old 7-speed unit, and in the case of the CLE, it fits the car and its characteristics pretty well. Now, you might say, come on Tom, you're telling me that a Mercedes convertible with a 375 horsepower is just a cruiser? Well, I didn't say that. Despite softly tuned suspension, the body control is fantastic. And truth be told, this is something that Mercedes does great. They may be setting up their suspensions with an emphasis on comfort, but the car doesn't feel like a giant boat, and ripping it on a curvy back road, while not super fun, leaves a smile on your face. Just like a GT car should. Let's face the truth, coupes and convertibles are not selling anymore, as basically the whole market shifted towards SUVs, but that didn't stop Mercedes from creating the CLE, and I am so glad that they stayed in the game. What I like about it the most is that it doesn't pretend to be something that it isn't. It's a long-distance GT in the first place, made for stress-free relaxed driving. Obviously with the top down. 375 horsepower in the 450 variant is all you need, the drivetrain is very smooth, the overall handling and ride quality are solid, and the cabin is a great place to be at. If you have any questions about the CLE, feel free to drop a comment and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.